Hi guys, it's the page turners with Noreen here, and I'm here to do a book review on The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. This book is going to be quite hard for me to give a review on. Let's do it. Quick summary of the book. It is an alien / dystopian book, so it really wasn't my cup of tea. I was a bit apprehensive because I'm not really interested in that kind of genre of books. But when I read the book, it isn't really a sci-fi book as I thought it would be. Basically, aliens have inhabited the Earth, and they have taken over the Earth through stages called waves. The first wave was lights out, all electricity has gone. The second wave surfs up, where many countries were flooded, tsunamis, etc. You know the drill. Third country is pestilence, where the aliens inserted a toxic substance in birds, and when they did the little business, these toxic fell on the Earth. The humans inhaled that toxic and they became very, very ill. Blood was coming out of the nose, ears, eyes, everywhere. Organs were failing. The brain was just shriveling up. It was a very gruesome part of the book, to say the least. The fourth wave is a silencer, where you can't really trust anyone. And people are killing off each other. You don't know who's alien, you don't know who's inhuman. Yeah. And the fifth wave is what this book is about. The fifth wave is basically aliens have inserted themselves in humans, unborn children, for a very long time, and when these children were born at a certain age, these aliens are awakened inside of themselves, and they take over these humans' forms. So essentially the fourth wave kind of led to the fifth wave, because once these aliens taken over the humans, you don't know who's a human, you don't know who's an alien. These aliens have human features on, human faces on. So yeah, you can't really trust anyone. My opinion, straight away about my opinion of the main girl. There are two main characters actually, Cassie and Ben Parrish. Cassie is on a mission to find her little brother Sammy. He was taken by these aliens who were pretending to be humans, pretending to be these soldiers saving them, taken on a school bus into this camp called Camp Haven, where these little children are trained up to be soldiers, fighting these so-called aliens, when really they're actually shooting just humans. They're just basically doing the aliens, or the others as they're called in this book, dirty work. So her little brother's, Cassie's little brother, has taken off Sammy into the camp, and she's on a mission to find him. Everyone that she's loved, her parents, her family, they're all dead. Like, she's the only human who's alive that she knows, and she's going slightly mad. In the first couple of chapters of the book, I liked her mental instability. I know it's kind of a weird thing to say, but it made the book quite funny. I mean, there are times when she goes, oh my god, I'm so alone, and you know, she just kind of went crazy. But there are also times where she breaks down, she has the emotional side of her, but there are also times where she has that strength, like whatever happens, she has to keep going, and she has to find a brother. Who knows where her brother is, but she just has to find him. She made a promise that she will come back to him, and she has to fulfill that promise. So, however, towards the middle of the book, I got quite annoyed with her, and that kind of leads me on to my opinion of the other character called Evan Walker. Evan Walker is an alien. He is one of those aliens that has inhabited a human's body and has taken over their life. He has a human face, but he's essentially an alien, or an other, as it's said in this book. First of all, in the beginning of the book, we introduced him as a silencer. He is one of those people that just kill humans off, and he was Cassie's silencer. He was Cassie's hunter. He was hunting her to kill her, but when the time came to kill her, he couldn't do it, and essentially just took her in and looked after her, fed her, bathed her. Cassie doesn't know he's an alien, she thinks he's a human, and that's where my annoyance part of Cassie comes in. All this time she's had difficulty in trusting people, and rightly so. She can't trust anyone who is a human, who is not a human. She trusts Evan really, really quickly, and she slightly falls in love with him. I mean, granted, he's really, really good looking and he's really, really kind to her, but she becomes a damsel in distress, and that is not what I liked, especially how she's portrayed not as damsel in distress in the beginning of the book. As soon as she meets Evan, she becomes that kind of girl. However, she makes up for it towards the end of the book, where she regains that female superiority, she regains that strength, and she carries on with her mission. Talking about Evan, I liked Evan, even though he was very, very creepy. He's a creeper towards Cassie. I mean, it's a given though, he's an alien, so he doesn't really know how to act as a human. He doesn't really know human interaction, but despite the creepiness, I really, really liked him. He's a really sweet guy, and he has Cassie's best interest in heart, essentially. The other main character is Ben Parrish. Ben Parrish is Cassie's crush that she's had for this time in school. He doesn't really know who she is. When it tells Ben's side of the story, he is in campaign, the same camp that Cassie's little brother has been sent to. He is being trained up to fight these so-called others. I like his side of the story when he's telling his story, because it brings out how weak he was when he was just before his alien business. He was one of the popular guy in his high school, and he thought basically he kind of rules the school, but after the alien invasion, after his whole of his family has been wiped out, there's a vulnerable side to him. He isn't what he thought he was, and this invasion made him think like, oh, I'm actually quite a weak person, I couldn't save my family. I just really liked that about him, the sweet aspect of him. So in terms of the actual story, there are some good parts and there are some bad parts. First of all, the good part is that I liked the way Rick Yancey broke down the stages of how the aliens took over the world. I mean, the first wave, the second wave, third, fourth, and now the fifth wave. Gave the book a structure, which I liked that. I also liked the fact that these two main characters, Cassie and Ben, Cassie obviously doesn't really know him on a personal level, but she's always fantasized about him. Ben doesn't know her at all, but as they're telling this story in this book, their paths are becoming closer and closer together. Cassie is going out to look for her brother. Her brother is in the same camp as Ben is. Ben made a promise to that little boy, Cassie's brother, that wherever he goes, he will go and find him, after finding out the truth of the fifth wave of who is in command of this camp, and essentially the aim of this camp, basically killing off all the humans. He finds that he has to fulfill his promise, something that he couldn't do with his family, and he has to go out and save this little boy. So I like the fact that their paths were becoming intertwined with one another, and they were becoming closer and closer together. What I didn't like about this book is the way the parts were broken up, the way the chapters were broken up. It can be a very confusing read for most people. The first part of the book is just all about Cassie's life, and that's fine, but then it's broken up to Ben's part and tells about his side of the story. That's fine as well, but then there are elements where Sammy has a point of view in the story and he tells about his story. Evan has a point of view in his story and he tells about his story. So I don't really know which character is talking or which character it is, because Rick doesn't really explicitly say that in the book. After reading a couple of pages, then you go, oh, okay, it's this person, or oh, okay, it's this person. That kind of frustrated me. What also frustrated me is the fact that you don't know what is present or what is past. There are so many parts in the book where Cassie or Ben or Sammy even talks about their life before, and then just jump cuts into the present part of what they're doing now. The way Rick did it was a bit confusing. Overall, this book is a good book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's definitely not what I thought it would be. So if you were a bit apprehensive or stepped back and said, I'm not going to read this book, it's about aliens, if alien really isn't your cup of tea or the sci-fi element, do read this book, do go out and buy this book. It's nothing like Star Trek. It's a good book. Definitely in the dystopian definitely in the dystopian genre. So that was my review of The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. Check out all the links down below, our Twitter, our Goodreads, and our blog where we do written reviews. Yeah, keep reading, stay awesome, and I'll see you soon. Bye!